What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Games Industry Executive Summary. This is Casey, and we're back another week with some awesome news. This time, of course, we missed you guys, so welcome back. The dashing Dave Thier.
It's good to be back. It's good to not be sick.
It's nice to see you again. Yeah, I went through some stuff, so I hope you didn't have the same stuff. But of course, we have the skier as well, Manu Rosier.
Yeah,
Manu of the slopes.
The slopes.
Back from the mountains.
Welcome back, gentlemen. I was really lucky last week. Patrick filled in, and I asked him like, "Hey, I need you right now," more or less, like no heads up, no nothing, and he immediately jumped in. So that was terrific.
Yeah, I saw that message. It was like a 3-minute delay, and that's it.
Yeah, that was great. But of course, there's a lot to discuss. I mean, Monster Hunter Week, among other things. I'm playing Monster Hunter. Really proud of that. I've been consistent the past couple days, and there's a lot to be said about how to set up multiplayer. But shall I just jump into it, gentlemen? Or are there...
Yeah, let's ride.
Okay, let's do it. Then I will look at the top item on the list of the highlights. Monster Hunter Wild slays the 8 million units sold milestone in just 3 days. So, I am really happy about this news, and congratulations to the team. And I'm not surprised. And 2, for a game with this quality and budget and everything and sales, it's beyond me in terms of why they opted in to do the multiplayer solutions that they have. But maybe that's a topic for another day. So, gentlemen, what can you tell me about Monster Hunter?
I think the Monster Hunter World did 2.5 million in like 3 months or something like that.
Wow.
So that's a lot. That's a lot.
By the way,
a lot on PC, while it's kind of a bit broken on PC. Let's be honest. It's top 5 all time on PC with 1.4 million.
And you look at those. Wow, it's the second most played game on Steam right now.
That is amazing. Yeah. I mean, I think I was always hoping it would be successful, but I don't think anyone saw something on this scale coming.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
From different aspects. By the way, this is also the fastest game in Capcom history.
It's the most successful Capcom game ever already.
Wilds.
Wild.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think if you look at the time of the game, of the engagement, it's very successful in Japan, extremely successful in Japan. Also, I believe in other parts of Asia and also in the US. Maybe it's a little bit less in Europe, but comparatively to the other regions, it's still a monster. So reviews are not great on Steam because it's from a technical standpoint, it's not great. So I assume you play on PlayStation, Casey.
I do. I mean, there's no technical issues per se. It's more like the implementation of multiplayer. Mm-hmm. So if I want to play with you, we have to be on the same squad in the same lobby. We have to and menus are hidden all over the place, and you have to do this puzzle of trying to figure out how do I just like in Destiny or in any other Western game. It's just right click on the name, join squad, boom. I see you, you see me. But here, even if we're in the same lobby, we can't play the same quest. Like it's super complicated, and that's why I'm saying it's beyond me. Because 15 years ago, I played Monster Hunter Worlds, and it's the exact same thing, more
15,
or less.
Not 15.
Sorry?
Let's see. When did you play Monster Hunter World?
10 years ago. 10 years ago. Yeah, 10 years ago. Yeah. Maybe less. But regardless, it's just crazy that this implementation, like from a UX perspective, it's beyond me. Why? It feels like there was either no UX person or the UX person who was doing this stuff was in a different mentality, in a different time frame from where we are in this modern age.
I didn't play Rise. Did you play Rise? You know if that was any better?
That was the last one? Was that okay? I heard that was better.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I heard from people. But so I'll just say this quickly as well, which is almost everybody I know and everybody I'm working with is actually playing Monster Hunter. So
yeah,
that's
I think my discords are alight with discussion of which weapons to use and that kind of thing. I think it's interesting what you're saying, Manu, about the kind of region by region. Is I think we're definitely seeing this trend that like you need to have like one region where you really blow up, and then it will bring the rest of them with it. Like Monster Hunter World, really, I think laid the groundwork for making this into a franchise that also appeals in the West, but is led by the East. And now we're kind of seeing the fruit of that.
Yep, they build on the success of Monster Hunter World, and now they cater to a wider audience with a game that probably look a bit more appealing. Let's not forget that Monster Hunter World was the first open world game, Monster Hunter open world game, I think in 3D like this. So I've bought the first one, the World. It's not my type of game, so I've not played more. But I can understand that this one is much better on many points, much more refined, much visually. It's a PlayStation 5 title rather than a PlayStation 4 title.
It's on Xbox as well.
Yeah, but it feels that there is a step forward in terms of visual, I would say. But maybe I'm wrong. It feels like the production value is higher. Let's put it that way. It's not a Nintendo DS game anymore. It's really a HD platform type of game.
I mean, yeah, if I'm Capcom, this is the one that I pushed the money on too. That Worlds proved that you could do it, and then this is the one to go all out, and clearly it paid off.
Yeah, and I mean when you have a big co-op game that's so successful, because I think the World was not far from 20 million units, if not more. It's like when you launch Destiny 2 after Destiny 1. There is a potential to break records, and with the hype you see in today's world, everybody's jumping in as quickly as possible just because the first one was good. So you will at least get your audio vets, all the people still playing. There was also a significant uptick in active user on Monster Hunter World in recent months, since players knew more about Wilds. And I think that always happens when a new one is coming, that you jump back in the previous one because you want to be in the new one already. So I think there was it's good. It's a good game. Metacritic score is close to 90, I think 88, 89. Good IP, successful IP, a great game. My understanding as a non-player, it's also they've opened the gameplay to cater a wider audience.
Yeah, it's historically a sort of prickly thing, but I think that they are continuously making it a little less prickly.
It's Monster Hunter Ring, right? It's just expanding the funnel.
I do want to add some other things that I was really impressed with. I think probably the best character creator I've ever dealt with. Right out of the bat, you get extremely beautiful characters. You don't have to like put a lot of energy to get a beautiful character. Then the other one is the transition from the character you created into the cutscenes into the game. They look equally beautiful. There's no weirdness that happens. If we go back to, let's say, Fallout series or other RPG type games in the West, I don't think we have the same beautiful execution that they've managed to do. So that's another thing that I wanted to highlight. Other than that, gameplay is on point. It's on point.
Good.
Yeah, we feel good about it.
There's more news regarding to that. One news is below. It's basically saying one of the Japanese developers saying we haven't sold a single game since that game was released. So it's the kind of event in the industry. It's like the tide before a tsunami. Everything, the sea goes away, everything gets dry, and then it comes back as a tsunami. And I think this is the kind of game that it's gonna eat a lot of other titles. And not just
I have to ask you. Has this always been the case with big game releases, like historically, let's say the past 10 years, where this type of title comes in, just like eats everything up for a while before everybody goes back to what they were doing? Or
I think the hype, even game like Palworld and PUBG at some point, everybody wants to try it. here it's a bit different because it's not free to play and it's a premium title. But when you see more than 1 million concurrent player on Steam for a full price game, that's kind of a industry event.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, everyone just wants to check it out. Like, you know, the gamers, like, we like to be where things are happening, and
yeah, absolutely.
the snowball rolls down the hill. You know, I think what's cool is that it reminds me in a certain way of Diablo, and that these are games that predate what we think of as the current live service structure, but they contain a lot of like ongoing development DNA, and so they're able to kind of make this interesting compromise where it's not like we are making a live service game in the sense that we are making a game like a Destiny style game, and yet it has a lot of the things that will encourage ongoing engagement, and you know, arguably games like Diablo and Monster Hunter are where some of these ideas come from in the beginning.
Monster Hunter, is it in the live service bucket, by the way? Because I know it's in my live service bucket, but
everything is a live service.
Yeah, I mean, I think are there microtransactions in this?
They do have. I mean, that's another, by the way, thing that they are executing on it, not in a good way, which is any microtransactions. Like, there's not an in-game store that is very clearly laid out. But what they have is like there's a menu with things, and by clicking the menu, it takes you to the PlayStation Store, basically. So there's no like in-game store in that way.
Yeah, people are complaining that you can buy overpowered weapons.
I think you can buy. I'm not sure about the overpowered part, but I mean that's not necessarily a bad thing in a co-op-ish experience. And they do have a lot of like skill trees and a lot of depth, I would say, in terms of upgrading your weapons, etc. So from that perspective, I think you have a lot to play with until you reach that point where you feel you need to buy stuff. But okay, gentlemen, do you want me to move on to the next item?
I do. Yep.
Which is a bit, not necessarily shocking, but it's a bit weird. I was not expecting this. So EA, Electronic Arts, hand Command & Conquer modders the source code for Tiberian Dawn, Renegade, Red Alert, and Generals. What's going on here? Why would they do that, and do we care?
It's cool. I mean, it's the kind of thing people are always hoping that that people do. So it's cool to see someone like EA do it. I mean, I haven't really kept up with it, but if I was EA, I would do that in advance of, you know, making a new entry into the series, just to generate some interest and generate some attention without really having to do anything.
Yeah,
well, this feels so unlike EA, though. It feels so small in relation to what EA normally does, right? Or am I missing something?
No, but I mean, if I put not that at the top, maybe you wouldn't be so shocked by it. I think it's because it's unexpected that it's worth mentioning as a top, and I think maybe it shows that the bigger publisher will take more into account all the modding community and understand that they should work together. Let's not forget that EA is also opening the Sims for modders, right? As you remember, so it might be a wider shift in the strategy to just also go towards more UGC, user-generated content, whether it's modding or something else. So I think it's great. You know, we don't always have to highlight the bad decisions. We can also praise when good things are happening. Good thing for the greater good of the players and the industry.
No, but that's why I'm asking. Like, it feels like this is a bit of a. I mean, it's not huge right now, but it does feel like a strategic shift, and it might have big impact, especially if we look at, like, you know, I mean, Valve made almost all their money on mods, more or less. Yeah.
I mean, no one's pretending that we're not at sort of a big transition moment in the industry, especially for a company like these big publishers like EA. And I think that this is them realizing that, like, no, they cannot stick to the previous strategies, that they need to be able to engage with the gaming community as they exist in 2025.
Yeah. The world is changing. Okay, gentlemen, I'll move over to the news then. Fragpunk announces console release delay just days before launch. Can you kind of remind me what is Fragpunk?
Exactly.
It's still, they announced a delay just days before launch.
But
Okay.
it's NetEase, if I remember correctly.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
Okay.
No, let me just check because I had not heard of that one for some time.
Is this is not related to League of Legends in any shape or form, is it?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm just trying to find it.
It looks expensive.
It looks expensive. I thought
Yeah,
it
it
was
looks like a Concord.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a Concord. It's a sequel. Okay. So it's a hero shooter.
Yeah, I'm just really trying to find who's the publisher.
A lot of vibes.
So yeah, I would definitely delay a hero shooter until Marvel Rivals has had a little time to cool down.
There's a lot of
I mean,
vibes.
it's another take of a 5v5 shooter, but yeah, it's such an
Yeah.
overcrowded space. And also just with the release now of Monster Hunter World, which is going to take some of that audience too.
Yeah, definitely.
But
Is it really?
it's NetEase, so it's NetEase, okay? NetEase is behind that.
Oh, it's NetEase.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's got more style than Concord. Like, it already has a more distinct visual thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit, in your face 80s extreme, a little hyenas there, but still more distinct than that, I think.
I'm seeing a lot of arcane in this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Dakota pseudo painterly cell shading. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, looks a bit like Apex. Also, some of the material was for Apex.
But yeah, that's but it's no matter what, it's a tough road to hoe. Like, releasing a hero shooter right now at all is troubling, let alone right now.
They had some success a few months ago with Once Human. So Once Human was basically the Division somehow, some type of game, and more co-op based game. And now they are going for this one. But yeah, I think it's
it's first person. I didn't quite get that from the rest of it.
I'm getting some,
that's super Apex, that UX right there.
I was gonna say Apex / Halo-ish vibes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the big pseudo religious sci-fi structure in the back, that is super Halo.
So the problem compared to Rival is they don't have Marvel, or they don't have a non-IP, so they are launching a new IP. I guess that's gonna be the challenge. It looks deep if you look at it. There are cards, and it's not just like basic Valorant, where or even Rivals is limited in terms of gameplay. It's mostly your special power, but there's no more than that. Here it seems that to be a more complex. You have potentially also different weapons. So
I mean, that ability that just popped on screen of that you turn your allied heads into invulnerable flames, that's a cool defensive ability. I'm not sure I've seen something comparable in another game.
Yeah,
it does feel like the main competitor here to this game, Fragpunk, is more Valorant and Counter-Strike rather than the classic hero shooters of Rivals and Overwatch.
Definitely, the shooting has sort of a snap that feels Valorant. Counter-Strike, the time to kill looks pretty low as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know why this game is made? Or rather, I should probably ask it the other way around. Do we feel like there is room for another one of these?
There is always room, but it's a net zero sum.
Yeah.
So it's always possible to cannibalize from another game, but maybe not from Rivals right now until they make a mistake. And there are not so many other games where you can take players from.
Yeah, I would just wait till the first time people get angry at Rivals, because it's going to happen. Especially, I mean, there are blue ocean games out there like Fortnite or Among Us or whatever. This isn't one of them. Like, this is looks like a high skill ceiling competitive shooter. That's everyone who wants to play a game like that is already playing a game like that.
Yeah,
interesting. I do want to say that. I mean, it looked very tight, looked very beautiful. By the way, I felt like it was a bit unique-ish, even though there's of course borrowed elements from here and there. But I'm surprised that we haven't talked about it or seen anything up until this point.
I
It's
think
never encouraging.
they came late with the campaign, Fragpunk, and it's not a first-party title, so it's maybe not something they could have announced that earlier. I'm just checking when is the first ever.
And who's making it? Bad Guitar Studios. Is that a Chinese studio?
I don't know. Let me just check who is all the videos.
I'm gonna check.
There was a closed alpha 8 months ago.
Okay.
That's probably the first time they talk about it. And then some gameplay trailer 6 months ago. So it's for a new IP, it's a very short campaign. I don't know if you remember games like Anthem. Back then, the idea was you need 1.5 years to establish a new IP in the awareness.
Yeah.
So I think 6 months, 8 months is very short.
But then of course you got the Apex model, which is that you need an hour.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Well, when you are Respawn.
Yeah, exactly.
They are not Respawn here neither, so they're starting from nothing.
And also that could have easily it could have gone wrong just as easily as it went right, as we've seen. Yeah.
But Respawn had to also evolve because they did what was it called? The Titan games again?
Titanfall.
Titanfall, yes.
Yeah. So it took them a couple rounds to reach Apex level.
One of the great sins of EA will always be burying Titanfall 2 in between whatever Battlefield that was at the time and Call of Duty.
Battlefield 1.
That was one. That's a big one.
Yep.
Yeah, and Titanfall 2 was such a good game, but it just got totally buried. Even by EA's own game. And it's a real shame.
I cannot comment there.
So the studio is under the umbrella of Thunder Fire Studio, which is based in China. So it's
okay. So Chinese games are taking more and more space. That's amazing. Gentlemen, I'll move over to the next side.
Sorry, just to finish. You see how polished it looks already. You see how clean and everything. It's like a completely finished product, and I think that's what we're gonna see in the same way that we saw Marvel Rivals being already overwhelmingly complete and full of features and heroes. I think yes, they are coming with the best possible version of their game already. There's no beta testing. There's no that kind of thing, and probably from a technical standpoint, they go the safe way, which means not very demanding type of game because they want to have to maximize the audience rather than being the leader in visual fidelity or anything. So I think that's again mobile games strategy.
So newsflash: Eastern Studios cracked the code on releasing quality games.
Yeah.
Okay. Gentlemen, I'll move over to the next one here, and sorry for continuously interrupting you. I think we're all equally excited here. But game publisher Acclaim, I haven't heard that name in a long ass time. I think the last time I associated Acclaim was to like Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
Yeah, that's super exciting.
With focus on indie studios and classics. I'm confused about this as well, to be honest with you. But tell me, what can we learn about this?
I mean, we've seen a lot of stuff close. It's exciting to see something open,
Hell yeah.
They got a brand, and we wish them the best. It's hard to know exactly what they're doing, but I do think that I remember hearing one company that I won't discuss in any specific detail, but a while ago, 2 years, they were saying how like, oh, we want to be like the next Ubisoft, we want to be the next EA. And I'm like, that seems like a bad idea. And I think that I always say, like, if you gave me $200 million, I would make $102 million bets. And I hope that is kind of, when they say they're focusing on indies and they're focusing on that kind of thing, I hope that that's the direction they're going in, is like, just spread it around. It's the investor, the iBanker approach, right? Hope to something like one game pays for 50 other games, and I think that is kind of how the modern industry works.
It's nostalgia again. Just you take whatever is known by a certain audience. Atari did the same a few years ago. They came with this hardware stuff, and here it's just
man, that was one of the weirdest things. Atari's, yeah.
Probably some people with money, they're like, okay, what should I do? Should I create something new or just buy an IP and probably a portfolio of IPs they still own? And then I have that, and I start doing remaster, remakes, see what sticks.
Yeah. Why not? You're going to make a publisher, like you can make a new name or you can get a name that people already know. And I think it's pretty obvious what you need. Like there's so much upshot at being known. Yeah. Like, I don't know, like even if it didn't bear any relationship to the classical Acclaim, just having that name.
Cool. Gentlemen, I'll move over to the next one then. Ubisoft's Far Cry extraction-based multiplayer shooter has been rebooted. Can you kind of remind me? Wasn't there another one that they released, or kind of like a shooter type game, maybe a year or two ago that released and that just got canceled immediately or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
There was Rainbow Six something.
No, there is another thing.
There was Rainbow Six Extraction, which is probably still somewhere around tactical co-op PvE first-person shooter. They had, the Call of Duty, but it was not an extraction shooter.
Okay. But speaking of extraction shooters,
X-Defiant.
X-Defiant, that's the one I was talking about.
That's it.
Not really. But the question is, why do they need another extraction shooter in the Far Cry environment? Why they still have... The Division is also some kind of extraction shooter.
Yeah, they arguably invented it.
Yeah. It's weird because Far Cry is its roots also in single player. It's about the map, where you play the country, the immersion, the story-driven shooter. I don't know. It's a bit weird for me if they would go for a Far Cry extraction shooter. DNA?
Making a Division extraction shooter seems like a much more straightforward thing to do.
Yeah.
Again, because they already did it.
Are there any extraction shooters that people should be paying attention to? So the reason I'm asking, because when I was in many conversations with publishers and investors a couple of years ago, everybody was asking me about, do you know anybody working on an extraction shooter? Fast forward, now it's 2025. Tarkov is still going strong, it seems like. And considering they're not on Steam, it seems like they're happy with the numbers they have. There's a game called Exoborn, which is by Shark Mob in Sweden. And that's also a Tencent studio. That's coming out this year, is my understanding. Not sure if we have high hopes there. In my opinion, it's it's a 50-50. But are there any other ones that people should be paying attention to or know about?
Yes.
Tell us, please. And
Marathon by a little studio called Bungie.
Bungie is doing a game called Marathon?
Yeah.
Marathon is an old IP.
It's been rebooted, I'm pretty sure. Or I don't know, they've had some stuff going on. But yeah.
I'm trying to find some gameplay here for Exoborn.
Crafton's also making one.
Crafton's doing one? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the first Marathon was released in 1994.
Look, we got another Halo Spire there.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else about extraction shooters that we need to talk about?
No, but it's true that it's been... it was a hype back then, I think, on the back of probably Tarkov and some... Call of Duty had an extraction shooter version of... open world extraction version of Warzone.
Yeah. What was it? Ops. Something Ops.
No, there's no ops there. I think
no
it's
ops.
no.
Dark.
In
Modern
the new
Warfare.
one. Sorry.
Modern Warfare 2. It was in Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah.
Yes, because they removed it from in Black Ops. They don't have it there.
Yeah, I think the issue is like it's the same thing with the battle royale trend. Is like I think there's a lot to learn from extraction shooters, but the lesson is not we should make an extraction shooter. It's that we should use similar ways of thinking about risk and reward, and work that into what we're already doing. The same way, like in a battle royale, like one of my favorite battle royales is like Fall Guys. They didn't just make a battle royale; they like thought about what the kind of elimination mechanic meant to people and applied that to a different situation.
It was DMZ.
DMZ, yeah, that's it.
That is correct. Yeah. So I'm looking at the marathon teaser trailer here.
They've got luminescent mushrooms, which I don't think enough games have luminescent mushrooms.
I'm all for luminescent mushrooms. Let's do that.
Yeah.
And bugs and eating bugs. Okay. This is like a space version. Seems like.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. It does. It returns to the Acclaim concept, right? Bungie's got to make a game. You could call it something new, or you could call it Marathon. Why not call it Marathon?
Interesting. Yeah. Okay, gentlemen. I'll move over to the next item on the list, which is Prop Hunt style game mannequin goes free to play on Quest as freemium multiplayer games thrive. So Quest, that's the VR thing, right?
Yes.
Tell us, what should we be learning here? I know that prop hunt type games are becoming more popular these days as well.
I think on VR they realize that there are still a lot of entry barrier for players, even once they've bought the device, they might not be willing to pay full price for a game, for a VR experience. Usually the VR experience are not as complete and maybe compelling than a normal game. So you don't have a Baldur's Gate 3 in VR, for example, or like a game like that of that caliber. Also because no studio wants to spend that much money on such a niche audience.
Well, and also this is a game with a lot of movement, and that is going to also cut out a bunch of the people who own VR headsets because it'll make them sick.
Yeah, but maybe free to play is the way also on VR. It's difficult to say, but they are trying. I think most of the VR games are in mid-price, so between 30 and 50 euro. Yeah, Gorilla Tag. I talked about Gorilla Tag a long time ago. It was the most popular game in terms of concurrent player, I believe, at some point on VR. My kids still love to play it. It's free. I think you can buy some skins, and maybe that's something that will happen more and more in the VR space.
Okay, cool. I want to ask you more about VR, but maybe there isn't much time right now. So I'll move over to the trends then, which is Ultima Online lead says Animal Crossing and Stardew Valley and all these other kind of cozy games are filling a gap in modern MMO design.
Definitely.
What's the takeaway here, or what are we learning?
I mean, the whole point of an MMO is that you get to live in a world, and a lot of the stuff that you do when you live in a world is not fighting monsters. And we World of Warcraft's seen all the way back to Mist of Pandaria with farming and that kind of thing. And I'd love to see in that kind of thing incorporated more into stuff that we consider MMOs, or have MMO mechanics incorporated more into survival. Survival. I see survival and cozy games is actually really similar because they both have these kind of like creation loops. All the cozy and survival mechanics do a great job of locating you in a place and making you sort of feel at home and feel like you are building out your home. And that is absolutely crucial towards feeling that you live in a world.
Yeah, I think I'm just trying to understand what actually defines an MMO.
Please enlighten us.
Compared to a live service, compared to when does it become an MMO? And not
how many M's do you need? How many people do you need to earn that M?
So it's a persistent online world. Okay, large scale player interaction. So it means a lot of players on the same server. Progression and character development is nothing specific to MMO. Social structures, maybe guilds, organization, that kind of stuff can be. But a game like Path of Exile or Diablo, is Diablo not an MMO in that case?
Yeah, I think you could say
Monster
that. Monster Hunter. Well,
so Destiny 2 is considered as an MMO. Warframe.
Destiny's because I remember when they first announced Destiny, and I would still kind of agree with this terminology. They always called it a shared world shooter. They were very cautious not to call it an MMO, shared world shooter. Yeah. I think that's because you're not going to have more than 8 people in a given instance, basically ever, except for very in the tower, which doesn't really count, and then that sort of capstone activity from Final Shape. But 8 people that's not massive, and so I think that's kind of the difference. That's why they really want to call it a shared world shooter.
Mm-hmm. And I think there is maybe misconception of people also already instantly assume MMO with MMORPGs, but it's not only the Ultimas and the Final Fantasy 14 and the Warcraft.
Yeah.
When you think about MMO, is much more than that. So in that case, there are some cozy games that probably can be considered as MMO. And
I think Animal Crossing.
I remember I had a friend playing. I don't know if it was Warcraft or something. They would spend an incredible amount of time just hunting to get the leather of the beast, and then so they can build an armor. And they basically have become craftsmen, or they have a normal job within this world, and it's not really about fighting monsters anymore. It's just about living your life. So yes, these cozy games is the same. They just keep the fighting part, or the fighting part is not the end game anymore. The end game is just the progression of your character or your house, your environment, your factory in some case.
Right. I played probably 20 hours of Conan Exiles, which I think is a great example of that. That's a survival game, but you're building your base, you're enslaving people to work in your base, and you're doing so on a little island with I don't know the number, but it's good. It's 30 or 40 other people, and you can find their bases out in the wild, and you can of course make clans or whatever it is they call them in that scenario. And that thing, I think we can call that an MMO. I think that fits the definition.
I don't know if it's because of I'm aging. Is it generational? But with the world outside, you kind of like this cozy environment. You don't want chaos when you play, because it feels like since COVID, in the last 5 years, been a chain of stressful events across the world that are really like, okay, well, I just want to be at peace whenever I'm playing. I don't want more chaos in my life.
Yeah, there's stability.
That might just be me, okay? But this is how I feel, how things have been going in the last 5 years.
I mean, that was definitely the narrative surrounding the release of Animal Crossing, that everyone was like, please just give me a nice little place to be.
Like when sometimes when I take the plane and I'm a bit stressed in the plane, I just play games, so I focus on the game and I'm not worried about anything happening.
Oh, I love playing. Planes are my absolute favorite place to play games. I save games so that I can play them on the plane. I saved a short hike for 2 years because I'm like, this is going to be perfect for a plane ride.
Awesome. Gentlemen, I'll move over to the next item, which has a terrible headline, so I won't read it the way that they wrote it. But the developer behind the definitive edition of Grand Theft Auto Trilogy has now been acquired by Rockstar.
Well, and there's a buried lead here, which is that I'm pretty sure the guy in charge of this studio is from Team Bondi, right? The guys that made LA Noire and had a lot of abuse problems.
Yeah, they've worked on LA Noire, VRKs, and other games. So it's just normal integration. Let's put it that way. I'm sure Rockstar needs all the developers they can get that have potentially already worked on their franchise to ship GTA 6. It's not a big news. to be honest. But it makes, for once, it makes sense. Just buying one of your satellite studios.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll move over to the next item then, which might end up in a bidding war at one point. And this is exciting to me personally, obviously, because I'm a huge fan of these games.
Mhm.
But Tencent increases stake in From Software owner Kadakawa to 7.97. So they used to have like 6.86. Now they're like, they acquired an additional percentage. We read not so long ago that Sony, there were talks about, or either Sony invested already. Yep. That is correct then.
10%.
So come again?
Sony is 10%, and Tencent is 8% now.
So will we see an acquisition?
I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not too. I mean, maybe the Titans can keep each other at bay, and no one can get up to 51%.
But publishing, we I don't know what they say From Software about publishing, because they used to be published by Bandai. If they will still publish the next one or not.
There was a publishing thing here, right? This is the one you were mentioning about. This is what I read at the bottom. A business alliance. I don't know, what does that mean? Like that Kadakawa entered a business alliance with Sony. Do we know what that means more exactly? Okay, so there's a collaboration in some shape or form. Live action movies, TV series, and other things. Okay, distribution. Okay.
I would hope that no first party acquires them, because I want to be able to play their games on any platform and not wait 1 year on PC or things like that.
Yes, those days are over at this time, right? Okay. There were no rumors last week, so we're going to have a rumor this week. Right. Never before seen screenshots show off canceled. Oh, yeah, I remember that announcement. Canceled Twisted Metal Battle Royale. Is that a movie? That was a movie, right?
Battle Royale is a type of game.
Oh, wasn't there like a Twisted Metal movie?
Pretty sure
there is a TV show for
but that's like a different thing.
That was canceled.
I think Will Arnett play Sweet Tooth, I think.
We'll have to figure that out.
Yeah.
Okay. There was a Battle Royale Twisted Metal thing, and now it's canceled?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, what's this? Okay.
I mean, Battle Royale with cars. It's not the worst idea.
No. I don't know. I like it. I think a combination of Battle Royale with Wreckfest, like Destruction Derby.
Hell
I don't know. There is something there. And
there was that game, the PlayStation exclusive came out around it. It wasn't a Battle Royale. It was around the time of the Battle Royale craze. What's it called? It was a car combat game.
Huh.
There has been multiple ones.
And let's be honest. In many Battle Royale games, in Fortnite, you end up with a car. I think in ranked one.
Yeah.
There are so many games that I
Destruction All Stars. Yeah, that was
Destruction All Stars. Yeah, that one was PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah, no, it was first party. I think it was like totally fine. It was one of those games where like you guys did good work. It's an interesting game, kind of fun, but it's just there wasn't room for it.
Oh my god, amazing Destruction Derby.
Yeah. This one. What happened to Burnout? Is that happening with Burnout these days?
That's an EA thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
They are doing Battlefield.
They're doing Burnout Battlefield.
No, but I think whoever is still working in the studio is working on Battlefield rather than Criterion. Yes.
Yes, of course.
You know that standard video game thing where you like when you take a turn, like you use the wall to scrape your car and absorb the force. One guy I actually tried that in like a real professional race and it worked.
He won the race.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he won the race in NASCAR, and then they banned that.
Everyone's like, this is probably a bad idea, and he's like, I can agree with that.
See what happens. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll move over to the numbers, my friends. Pokemon trading card game Pocket tops 100 million downloads. And we spoke about $100 million as well recently, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they did real well with that.
There is
So
such a concentration in this industry. Like fewer and fewer winners, but they win more and more. Like
yeah,
it really feels like that. There may be 10, maximum 15 IPs that just take 80% or 90% of all the cake. I think it's yeah.
Can you please explain why does this happen?
Because capitalism was
Yeah.
probably.
Okay. Well, I was going to say that, but apart from that, is it also the structure of the platforms and how they funnel users? Is there something we're missing that I haven't figured out as well? That would be appreciated.
I mean, when you are successful and if you are smart, you can be even more successful. And you can close the gap. You can release a version of your game that is always better and then cannot be matched by competitors anymore. You can also potentially invest in different experience within your umbrella IP. So you open more markets, more audience. It's always easier when you have money and you have the talents because they also start with studios and people. So when you are in a dominant position, if you are relatively smart, it's easy to consolidate that and just make sure that nobody can come and bother you. And I think this is a bit what's happening. We discussed a lot about Sims in the past. We'll see what Inzoi will do, but it's not easy to come against the Sims that has been around for so many years without competitors and has such a captive audience. So,
And especially, people talk about when they complain about how much they've spent on The Sims, but they have still spent that money on The Sims, and that is a huge sunk cost.
and also it's not like you're letting your players alone for a while anymore because you always have some kind of live service of thing happening within your IP. Even GTA, you might think that maybe GTA after 3 they would not go instantly to 4, but now we know they will go because there are still so many players in GTA Online. They are still in the ecosystem. You don't have to convince them to come back in your ecosystem, and it's the same with Call of Duty. Call of Duty, you have the main game, but you still have Warzone all year long with seasons. So many of these IPs are really like that. EA, FC, all the sports title is the same. They are just they are there 24/7, 365 days per year, always. They never let them down. If they are smart, they never let their player down. They never let their players try something else.
Of course.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, I want to go back to the rumors. I will add a rumor. I'm not sure. I'll let Manu decide. I think this is a stupid one. I'm not sure if this is a rumor category, but somebody sent it to me. That's why I'm bringing it up. So, Ross and FaZe Banks to launch crypto-based GTA 6 server. Now, in my book, I assume these people are smart enough not to touch this thing with a stick.
Yeah,
but
I don't think that Rockstar has approved these plans.
No, I don't believe so as well. But is this worth discussing at all, or is this just another one of these cash grab scams?
Pump.
Okay. And then I'll move over to the last item that we have, which is that Steam has doubled in size in just 5 years as Monster Hunter Wilds launch. Well, okay, we talked about Monster Hunter, but so tell me, did Steam really double its size in just 5 years?
I can see it. Yeah. I mean, people come to Steam for one reason, and it's to buy a game, right? And so when you get massive hits and people, you have a console player or like someone who's just not used to playing on Steam, and this is the place to go get it, they go get it.
I mean, in the past 5 years, you have all the games from EA, from Activision, from even from Blizzard, from Ubisoft, from Take-Two. They all went back to Steam. That's just already a population of players. Some of them might not have been on Steam already, but there was a huge overlap. But I think everything is available on Steam except the Riot games, so Valorant, League of Legends,
Tarkov.
What?
Tarkov
Is on Steam.
It is?
Yes, obviously.
What are you talking about? I thought it was not on Steam. No, it's not.
Yeah, that's.
It's not on Steam, or is it?
Yeah, no, it's not.
It's not. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
That's why it's so amazing that it's not. Yeah.
Finally... They okay. Well, yeah, I think I thought about the other game, the 5v1 from Critic. Unshowdown.
Yes. Hunt. Yeah.
Hunt the
okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Good for them.
Enough. Yes.
But I think Steam is just the place to be. We discussed that many times, so it's not a surprise. And then at the same time, we saw during the pandemic, markets like Japan opening also on PC. So there is a combination of more games are available on Steam and more just PC player in general.
Steam is becoming a public domain platform.
Don't give that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hopefully nobody, fucks with it. But gentlemen, we've reached the end. I'm not sure if there's anything else you'd like to discuss. It's been nice having you back.
Yes.
It's been nice to be back.
Let's. I know people are playing Monster Hunter Wilds, but let have people play Split Fiction also.
Oh yeah, I want to try that. I did not play It Takes Two.
What?
I want to try that.
So why did you not put that up as a?
Because it's not released.
Oh, it's not.
It's tomorrow or it's today, but it's a 90 Metacritic. It's apparently really, really great. So, and I think it's number 2 or 3 on sales on Steam right now. Yeah,
do you think the game will be impacted, considering I'm not leaving Monster Hunter for a while?
That was the point I raised. It might have some lag because players have not finished Monster Hunter Wilds, and there is potentially an overlap for co-op players like you. So I think that's the point I made on other channels. And but anyway, it's always better to release a 90 Metacritic game rather than a 75. That helps for success.
That's reasonable. Yeah.
In the same way that It Takes Two, it was a lot of work to most. It took a lot of months to become bigger. I think it's fine, and they're also starting at a high price point. But I'm sure the first promotion is gonna drive the volume if it's not already happening at launch. But I think the expectations are high, and they have a Game of the Year award behind their back already. So they have this established awareness. So I think it will be a competitor for this year Game of the Year award, maybe against GTA 6.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a crazy year.
It will be.
Yes, a wild year.
Yes.
Gentlemen, thank you for joining us, and of course, as usual, like I always say, do all the social stuff, the sharing, the liking, all these stuff that you don't like to do. Please do them so you can help us, your audience. And with that said, go to also subscribe, of course, to the newsletter, which is the most important thing that we have. Giesweekly.substack.com. Gies, Gies weekly.substack.com. I can't even speak anymore. But thank you so much, guys, for joining us, and thank you everybody for listening in, and we'll see you on the next one.
See you on the next one.
Bye.